The king, the blind, and the cripple. Once upon a time, there lived a very generous king. The king gave freely to all in need. His people loved him very much. He was always a very skillful fighter and had won many battles for his people. Whenever he went to war, he would conquer everything his opponent had, and then he would bring them back to his hometown. That was how the king gathered his wealth. Because of how rich the king was and how gracious he was when it came to giving, the people valued and respected him. One day, a blind man came into town. The blind man had trekked so many miles and was very hungry. Because he was blind, he didn't know how to go about getting food. However, he knew he had journeyed into a town he knew very well. The blind man kept pacing around, asking himself how he would get food. I have come into a town that I know very well, but now I am very hungry, and I do not know what I will do to get food to eat. So the blind man paced up and down until he tired himself and fell asleep. In his dream, he saw his father talking to him. "My son, you must wake up," the blind man's father said. "Papa, is that you?" the blind man asked, confused. "Yes, it is me. Listen to me. You should pick up your things and find your way to the king's palace. He is a very rich and generous man. Trust me, the king will give you food to eat." Immediately after the blind man's father was done talking, the blind man woke up. He smiled and helped himself up. Then he found his way to the king's palace. When he got to the king's palace, he was stopped by the palace guard. "Who are you and what do you want?" they asked the blind man. "Please," the blind man said with his face turned around, hoping that he could see who was talking to him. "I have come to see the king. I have a favor to ask of him." "And who exactly are you?" the palace guard asked again. "I am just a blind man. I need the king's help." The guards looked at themselves and took pity on the blind man. "Okay, fine. You can come in. Allow us to lead you to the king," they said, and took him by the hand to the king. When they reached where the king was, he asked them, "Who is this man and what does he want?" "My king," the blind man said, "I am a blind man who is very hungry. I hope that my king can offer me some assistance." The king looked at the blind man and took pity on him. "Guards, give him some yams and meat," the king ordered his guards, and they rushed to get the yam and meat. "Ah, thank you. Thank you, my king," the blind man said when he felt the bag containing yams and meat being placed in his hand. He was about to leave when the king called him back. "Make sure you do not tell anyone about this," the king said to him. "Of course, my king, I won't tell a soul." And with that, the blind man went away rejoicing. As the blind man was on his way, he met a cripple who was very hungry. The cripple, who saw how happy the blind man was, asked him. "Blind man," he called out, and the man stopped. "What is making you this happy?" he asked the blind man. "I am this happy because the king has given me enough food to eat." "Really?" the crippled man asked, surprised. "I am hungry too. I wonder if the king will give me something as well if I go to him." "I am sure he will. Go on, go to him. He is very kind and caring." With that, the cripple crawled to the king's palace and made the same declaration. "My king, I am very hungry, and I was hoping you could help me with some food." "And who told you that I'm giving out food?" the king asked. "The blind man, of course." the cripple replied boldly. To this, the king smiled and told his guards to give the cripple some yams and meat. Ah, thank you very much, my king, the cripple said, and just when he was about to leave, the king told him, "Do not tell anyone that I gave you this foodstuff." "Of course, my king, I won't tell a soul," the cripple promised and went on his merry way. While he was on his way, he met a very poor man. The man looked so hungry, and when he saw the cripple smiling, he asked, "Mr. Man, why are you smiling so hard?" "Well, it's because I was very hungry, but the king gave me some foodstuff," the cripple replied. "Really? I am very hungry as well. Do you think the king would give me foodstuff as well?" The poor man asked him. "Of course he will. Go to his palace immediately." And with that, the poor man went to the king's palace. "My king, I am a starving poor man. Please, can I get some foodstuff?" "And who told you that I have foodstuff?" the king asked. "The cripple, of course," the poor man exclaimed. The king then ordered his guards to give the poor man some yams and meat. "Ah, my king, thank you very much," the poor man said, and before he could leave, the king told him, "Do not tell anyone that I gave you foodstuff." "Of course, my king," the poor man said and went on his way. While on his way, he met a thief, and the thief asked him why he was smiling, but the poor man said nothing. The thief then met the crippled man, and the man told him everything. The thief went to the king's palace and asked, "My king, can I have some foodstuff?" "And who told you that I have foodstuff?" the king asked. "The crippled man, of course." Then the king said, "Go to the blind man and the cripple and rob them, but leave the poor man alone." And so the thief went to the blind man and robbed him without him seeing a thing. And then he went to the cripple and also took his things, but the cripple couldn't run and catch up with him.